The media filters do create a lot of
It's not
falsehoods,
a media filter. You have to stop blaming the media. I'm asking you about comments that you have made.
And I'm telling you that the comments I made, the ones you just played, are indeed what I believe, which was not that 9 was an inside job, but that Saudi Arabia absolutely was involved, and our government for 20 years lied to the American people about it.
The difference in asking questions about Saudi Arabia's involvement and the government's involvement, and then pushing this idea that what your comment about who was on the plane and then was not an inside job where you did not say no earlier. That's why it's important to clarify those comments, because otherwise it feels like you're towing the line when it comes to conspiracy theories.
Kaitlin, I am guilty as charged that I do not follow the establishment super PAC donor-approved script on these questions, but I am speaking truth, grounded in fact, at every step of the way, and that's what's really elicited something of an anaphylactic reaction of the kind we saw in 2016 against a different candidate.
All right, folks, I know what you're all thinking. Really, Vince, another Vivek Ramaswamy reaction video? That's like the 5th one this week. To which I say, you're not entirely wrong. We have basically become a Vivek reaction channel at this point. But what can I say? He's always out here creating interesting content for us to talk about, and you guys seem to like it. So yes, it is true. We do have another Vivek clip for you today, because the other day he was on CNN with Dylan Mulvaney here. Actually, I'm being told, sorry, that is not Dylan Mulvaney. That is apparently Kaitlan Collins. Okay, sorry. Always get the two confused. My bad. Okay, and just sincerely, Kaitlan Collins. And she tried to press him on this controversial issue of what happened in September of 2001. So YouTube, in order to kind of not flag their keywords, I'm going to refer to the catastrophic incident that happened that day as 10/11. Okay, throughout this video, just so you guys know what I'm talking about. When they say those numbers, I'm going to censor it out, but we know, right? September of 2001, the thing that happened there. And she basically accuses him of being a 10/11 conspiracy theorist or truther, all because he simply says that he does not believe the government told us the full truth about what happened that day. Okay. So for the record, think what you will about 10/11, and just for YouTube purposes, I'm not endorsing or making a comment on any of the conspiracy theories, but the fact that the government did not tell us the full truth about that day is objectively true. Right? It's subjective. And as Vivek points out here, we know from the 10/11 commission that, yes, the government did withhold information. I don't even think that's a conspiracy theory. And frankly, she looks at him here like he committed blasphemy or something by simply asking questions. And it really does prove in a way how CNN is just CIA news network, because when you ask most Americans what they think about that day, regardless of whatever theory they have, most of them will say, yeah, I don't think the government told us the full truth. I do think the government withheld information at the time. But to Kaitlan Collins apparently asking questions about government narratives and whether the government is telling us everything, apparently that is the highest levels of blasphemy in her eyes. So we're going to react to this clip here today. So let's get into it, folks.
A report in The Atlantic that you gave an interview to, you said, quote, I think it is legitimate to say how many federal agents were on the planes that hit the Twin Towers. Maybe the answer is 0. It probably is 0 for all I know, right? I have no reason to think it was anything other than 0. But if we're doing a comprehensive assessment of what happened on 9/11, we have a 9/11 commission. Absolutely, there should be an answer the public knows the answer to. Explain to me what you meant there.
This is really, it's funny. I mean, The Atlantic is playing the same game as CNN. It's funny. What I said is, on January 6th, I do believe that there were many federal agents in the field, and we deserve to know who they are. On 9/11, what I've said is that the government lied. And this is incontrovertible evidence, Kaitlin. The government lied about Saudi Arabia's involvement. There was a Saudi spy named al-Bayoumi, who they lied, and the government lied, and the 9/11 Commission lied. We know that because declassified reports in 2021 revealed that al-Bayoumi was indeed.
She just has to throw in the casual shill for Biden, which President Biden declassified, by the way. Okay.
Yeah, the report that President Biden declassified. Yes. But your quote here, are you telling me that the quote is wrong
20 years later,
here?
Yeah.
But are you telling me that your quote is wrong here because it says how many federal agents were on the plane at the Twin Towers?
Yeah, when I actually, and this is just lifting the curtain on how media works again, I asked that reporter to send the recording because it was on the record. He refused to do it. But we had a free-flowing conversation. The truth is there are lies the government has told about 9/11, but it's not the ones that somebody put in my mouth. It's the one that...
Including even on the day they said that it was safe to be at ground zero. Well, you know from the stuff that happened after that air, those ashes were not safe, right? So it's like objectively, you cannot say that everything they ever told us was accurate or true, okay? As most stuff with the war on terror, WMDs in Iraq, is a liberal going to now say George Bush was acting on reasonable intelligence? Well, CIA News Network, I'm pretty sure in 2 years is going to say that, unironically. But it's like, what is so crazy about this take? It's not even conspiracy, you know?
That I articulated, which is that Saudi Arabia, absolutely, their intelligence was involved in 9/11. And that's a difficult thing you're not supposed to say. The facts back that up. Separately, as it relates to January 6th, same story all over again. And we, the people, deserve the truth, despite the layers of distortion that exist in the media to prevent us from getting it.
You're saying that you were misquoted here. So we will take you at your word.
Yes.
You're saying that you were misquoted here. But you were asked another time recently about whether or not 9/11 was an inside job. This is what your response was.
9/11 inside job or exactly how the government tells us?
I don't believe the government has told us the truth. Again, I'm driven by evidence and data. What I've seen in the last several years is we have to be skeptical of what the government does tell us. I haven't seen evidence to the contrary, but do I believe everything the government told us about it? Absolutely not.
That's
Do I
two
believe
questions.
the 9/11 Commission? Absolutely not.
I mean, Vivek, I think people look at those comments. They look at what you said in the Atlantic, which you say you were misquoted. They look at comments that you've made about the Federal Reserve adding zeros to media companies' bank accounts. And I mean, it looks like you're floating conspiracy theories with this defense of I'm just asking questions.
Conspiracy theories. CIA News Network, like I said, literally.
Well, when you actually quote me, those are my words, and I stand by them. So somebody else quoting me, putting words in my mouth, I have a problem with. But those words I stand by. You want to know why? Because we literally know the FBI, the 9/11 Commission, the U.S. government on down told us specifically that Saudi Arabia had no involvement. 20 plus years later, quietly declassifying documents showing that not only did Saudi Arabia have involvement, it was a Saudi intelligence agent that received two of those terrorists that crashed planes on 9/11, killing Americans.
But the question was, is 9/11 an inside job? And you didn't say no.
Caitlin,
that's what I think people are looking at.
Caitlin, you know what's really funny?
That's so bad faith. That's totally out of context.
You literally just played that, and you could play it for your audience again. He said, or do you believe everything the government has told us? And my answer was, I do not believe everything the government has told us.
But you see
because
the
they lied.
The point is
and
that
I know
it leaves
this game
the door
comes up,
open.
Caitlin, every time there's an outsider who comes in.
It leaves the door open, Vivek. It leaves the door open, and someone who's a 9/11 truther looks at that and says, that's exactly what I believe. How
dare someone leave the door open to asking questions? CIA News Network, you can never do this. Oh, look, oh my gosh.
You think the government's lying about 9/11?
I think the government has systematically and for a very long time lied about 9/11. And I think I'm the only presidential candidate who has told us the truth. Saudi Arabia's involvement. It is absolutely true.
But you don't think that 9/11 was an inside job, correct?
Of course not. And I've never said it. But the media filters do create a lot of falsehoods.
It's not a media filter. You have to stop blaming the media. I'm asking you about comments that you have made.
And I'm telling you that the comments I made, the ones you just played, are indeed what I believe, which was not that 9/11 was an inside job, but that Saudi Arabia absolutely was involved, and our government for 20 years lied to the American people about it.
There was an entire...
That's factually true. That is factually true. Like, you know, the 9/11 Commission reveals that. And there's currently a lawsuit going on where victims of that day are now suing Saudi Arabia for that stuff. So it's not a conspiracy theory. That's fact. Even the government now admits it. But Kaitlin and the CIA News Network are very mad that someone asked questions and they came out to be true.
9/11 Commission report on this.
Yes, and it lied, and it was false. And in fact, you know where that's coming out, Kaitlin? There's now a federal case in the Southern District of New York, where the government of Saudi Arabia is being sued by victims of families. That's why this is resurfacing itself. It is relevant, and it turns out
there's a difference in asking questions about Saudi Arabia's involvement and the government's involvement, and then pushing this idea that what your comment about who was on the plane, and then was 9/11 an inside job where you did not say no earlier? That's why it's important to clarify those comments, because otherwise it feels like you're towing the line when it comes to conspiracy theories.
Kaitlin, I am guilty as charged that I do not follow the establishment super PAC donor-approved script on these questions, but I am speaking truth, grounded in fact, at every step of the way, and that's what's really elicited something of an anaphylactic reaction of the kind we saw in 2016 against a different candidate. But this time I'm going to be grounded in principles and conviction, not just vengeance and grievance, which is exactly how we will reunite
that's
this
just
country.
Simply what we were asking for. But Vivek Ramaswamy, we'll have to leave it there. Thanks so much for your time tonight.
Oh my gosh, you sounds like you're peddling conspiracy theories. Frankly, I think most times that people like that, the CIA news network, accuse you of peddling conspiracy theories, you're probably asking some legitimate questions. Anyways, with that said, it's crazy to me how she looks at him. So here's what I'll say about it. All right. I'm not endorsing any conspiracy theories or, making a comment on any of that stuff. But what I will say is that the idea that there is skepticism about what the government told us about that day, it is one of the most mainstream and bipartisan things in this country that most Americans believe, left and right. Okay. And just to prove to you, it's not an exclusively right-wing conspiracy theory, quote unquote. Part of the 10/11 discussion was started back in 2003 and 2004 by liberals. Okay. And some of you older folks may remember, but in 2004, Michael Moore came out with that whole documentary, that's supposed to be against George Bush and all that stuff. But in that documentary, there's a lot of undertones and accusations of what? Actually, from what I understand, far more extreme things that Michael Moore tried to say than what Vivek here is saying, which is simply, I'm asking some questions. I'm not sure about everything, right? Michael Moore, from my understanding, went pretty much farther than that, okay? So which is to say, regardless of what you think, again, not endorsing anything here, but it's insane to me that she looks at him like what he's saying is crazy or fringe or somehow, right? Which really, again, just does go to show you they are basically ran by the State Department, right? It is CIA news network. Because I think if you go and ask Americans on the street, you go to New York City, it's a left and right thing, right? Ask them, do you agree with Vivek's comments? Forget the misquoted thing in The Atlantic, but do you agree that the government did not be fully honest with us on that day about that day? Everyone's going to agree with you. Probably only 10 to 20% of Americans, I would estimate, would disagree with what Vivek says here. Okay? The only reason why you would view it as a crazy or far out thing is two reasons. Either you are brutally out of touch, which CIA News Network certainly is, but if not that, then because you are running cover for, just the whole idea that our U.S. government is totally honest with us, which is also ridiculous and also a joke and also just simply not true, right? As he brings up, it is objectively a fact that the government was not fully honest, okay? Notice he doesn't accuse George Bush. He doesn't accuse anyone of doing something that day. It is just a simple fact that, hey, they were not fully transparent. Okay? And that's the case with a lot of the war on terror. Okay? It is, right? 10/11 was used to justify, going into Afghanistan, but no talk ever about Saudi Arabia, which, again, a statement of fact that we now know was involved in that stuff, right? And where did the people come from? They didn't come from Afghanistan. So I don't know. I don't understand what about this is so controversial, okay? He's not accusing anyone of doing something. It's just a matter of, I don't know if they were fully honest, which they were not. But of course, this is true. According to CNN, if you think that the government is not fully honest, that obviously makes you a dangerous conspiracy theorist who's peddling 10/11 truthing. All right. I don't know. And I'm sure they're going to use this line as he gets more popular to totally take him down, attack him. But like I said, I think this whole line is going to backfire. Trying to fixate on this is going to backfire because most Americans agree with Ramaswamy's take on it, or at least his wanting to ask questions. Okay. So I don't know, but you guys can let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Do not tell me what you think about what actually happened on 10/11 because, let's not go there on YouTube. But let me know what you thought of the exchange. Let me know what you thought of Kaitlin Mulvaney here. And until next time, folks, everyone be sure to leave a like right now on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. Wish me luck at the GOP debates Wednesday in Milwaukee. I will be there getting content for you guys. And until next time, Alpha Moves Only. God bless. Everyone have a very good day and peace.